word of prayer.
అన్మ్యూట్ చేయాలి ఫాదర్ పాస్టర్ గారండి.
ఓకేనా?
Yes.
Now it is audible. Please.
ఓకే. పరిశుద్ధుడు అయిన తండ్రి, మా దేవ, మా ప్రభువ, మా రక్షకుల, నీ పవిత్రమైన పాదములకు భయభక్తులతో హృదయపూర్వకంగా మీకు కృతజ్ఞతాస్తుతులు చెల్లిస్తున్నాను. ప్రభువా, నీ బిడ్డ ఆ విధంగా గునుపుగా చేసి అట్లాంటాలో ఉంటూ ఇండియన్ క్రిస్టియన్స్కి అనేక ప్రభువా దళితులకు, క్రిస్టియన్స్కు ఈ రైట్స్ కొరకు ప్రభునందు వారందరికీ ప్రోత్సాహకరంగా ఉన్నట్లుగా మీకు మేము తోడై ఉన్నామని ఈ విధంగా ప్రార్థనాపూర్వకంగా నైనా ఒక ఎంకరేజ్మెంట్ ఉన్నట్లుగా ఈ యొక్క జూమ్ మీటింగ్స్, ప్రేయర్ మీటింగ్స్ గ్రూప్ చేసి నడిపిస్తున్నది. ఇందులో ఈ గ్రూప్ లో ఉన్న సభ్యులందరినీ మీరు ఆశీర్వదించండి, నడిపిస్తున్న లీడర్స్ ని దీవించండి. ప్రభువా, మా భారతదేశంలో ఉన్నటువంటి నాయనా క్రిస్టియన్స్ అందరూ అన్ని విషయాల్లో ఏకత్వం కలిగి, ఏక మనసు కలిగి, దేవా ఏ విషయంలోనూ భయపడకుండా, దిగులు పడకుండా ముందుకు సాగిపోవడం సాధించండి. ముఖ్యంగా ప్రభువా, గవర్నమెంట్ ఈ యొక్క ఎస్సీ నుంచి ప్రభువు నమ్ముకున్నప్పుడు ఈ యొక్క రిజర్వేషన్ విషయంలో మీరు మాకు న్యాయం చేయండి, నీ ప్రజలకు మీరు న్యాయం చేయండి. దేవా, ఒక నిజమైనటువంటి ఉన్నతమైన విలువలను పాటించే క్రిస్టియన్స్ గా అందరూ ఉండున్నట్లుగా సహాయం చేయండి. ఏ ఉద్దేశంతో అయితే ప్రభువా ఈ యొక్క గ్రూప్ ఏర్పాటైందో ఆ పర్పస్ ని మీరు నెరవేర్చండి. దేవా, ఇప్పుడు మొదలు పెడుతున్నటువంటి ఈ యొక్క మీటింగ్ లో, ఈ చిన్న గ్రూప్ కాన్ఫరెన్స్ ప్రేయర్ మీటింగ్ లో మీరే అందరికీ ఉపయోగకరంగా అందరితో మీరు మాట్లాడండి. యేసు నామములో స్తుతించి ప్రార్థిస్తున్నాం తండ్రి, ఆమేన్.
Amen. Okay, welcome all participants. Greetings to all of you in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So the Indian Christian Rights Advocacy Forum is delighted to welcome you to the meeting on challenges to Indian Christian identity, church's response and responsibility. So I might share my screen at some point of time, but first let me tell you the welcome words. The meeting is in session now. Unless you are speaking or would like to speak, please mute yourself, and in order to have the bandwidth, you can also mute your video unless you are speaking. We are here to express our ideas, share our ideas, and discuss in a cordial and in a friendly way and in a professional way, and civil, respectful, and courteous ways are welcomed and are encouraged. So the agenda of the session will be like I will give a small introduction to who is clergy, what is community leadership, and who are congregants. And then the floor will be handed over to the speakers. Almost all the speakers are here, thankfully, and we are expecting some people might join. And I hope you all can hear me. You're hearing me. If you have any issue, you just raise your hand and I can adjust the volume of it. So with that being said, I will introduce. Prayer has been done. So the first thing is clergy, responses of the clergy. So Indian Christian identity and what is the church? The church is a three body, like comprising of three member body, which is the clergy members or the pastoral community, and the community leaders, the NGOs who came from Christian families, and the congregants. Okay, the first were congregants actually, so which I'm going to explain. So, what should be the response to keep up our identity in this complex and globalized world and competitive world? You know that, right? And what is the responsibility of the community and what realities the congregants are facing, what dilemmas they are facing, and what needs to be done? That is the agenda of our program. Okay, so in order to define clergy, it is a body of ordained people for performing religious duties such as preaching, pastoral care, and leading denominations and churches. Most congregants trust the clergy to give advice about their personal life matters as well, besides their spiritual lives or spiritual matters. Hence, clergy and pastors' role in church's life is paramount. We every time we look at them with reverence and lots of respect. They are formed or they were formed from the families of first Christian converts who either the profession of who either took the profession of so I just have a small disturbance. So either took the profession of theological profession and the subsequent generations who have taken up the professions of being pastors and their and such other clergy professions. Second one comes as community leaders. These were civil society organizations which are represented right now in our meeting as well, comprising of private citizens with interest in non-governmental and volunteer services to serve the public and public needs. And most of these NGOs work for economic development, social upliftment, and another side of the intention would be evangelization to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. So, and they were either formed from the first Christian families or their generations. They do both evangelistic work as well as social work. So that's the definition of the community leaders. When it comes to congregations or congregants, it is a vast body composition of the church, and their main purpose was first to worship, then to fellowship, and then to make life enriching opportunities such as seeking alliances, forming kinship, familial relations, and making participating in communal meal or such other parties or functions or some other things. They were formed in Andhra or in Telangana, they were formed, or basically in India, they were formed from the original mass movement converts since the middle of the 19th century. And they can also, these days, since past 50 years, they can also come from the newly converts, both from the Dalit and the non-Dalit backgrounds. The composition in rural areas and urban areas might differ, but congregants are the main body of the church, and without congregants, the above two may not exist. So they are complementary to each other. So that is the introduction for this topic. So now, challenges to Indian Christian identity that I will explain later. But right now, we will hand over the floor to Sister Usha Kiran so that she can be joining, she can be doing her what she can be doing.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Sure.
So, thank you for the wonderful opportunity that you have given to be with all of you today, this morning. And as you were telling the challenges that we are facing right now in the society, I would title this like the unbiased love of God in a biased society. This is what I could tell, because God has loved each and everyone in this world, but still the love which is being shown by the people is so biased. So, the unbiased love of God in a biased society, I would like to go with this particular title, where I just want to tell the challenges are too many these days that we are unable to face them, in the sense, especially only the Christian community. Anywhere in the world you can see, if there was or there is persecution, it is only to the Christian community that is happening. Basically, maybe other religions or other community could have been persecuted, but major of it is only the Christian community. Reasons could be different in different countries and different societies, but basically speaking, coming to the Indian context, it is the reason is because the women, I mean the men or the women, whoever are practicing Christianity, are trying to spread the love of God, which is most unacceptable to the others, because it is understood that once this SC status is given to all Christians, the number, the statistics would just leap up like anything. So undeclared Christians are more in the society, because, as I was just telling you, I move with the society. Though I'm in a job, a very responsible job, my social work extends to many places. So I keep seeing that there are many who follow Jesus, but still they are unable to declare it, just for the very reason that they'll be deprived of so many benefits or the positions which they are already handling. So I just want to briefly tell something. Though God's love is so universal, and every person is supposed to receive the love of God, it is being forbidden. We can only tell it is being forbidden because people are not allowing us to share the love of God, telling that we are trying to convert. So this is the only basic word they are using. They are just not bothered about all the help that we are giving, all the assistance, all the support that we are doing to the downtrodden, to the depressed, to the oppressed. No one is able to accept that particular point. They are thinking we are doing this only to convert them. So this is causing a lot of pain to each one of us. Of course, people, especially the pastors, the way they are being handled in some places. I think yesterday I have seen a picture somewhere in Uttarakhand. A pastor was bet beaten to death. So these are the conditions. Like I want to tell that here, we as a community, already you have done a wonderful job of putting us all together on a platform where we can share our experiences, or we can share our ideas of how to build the community in a more effective way. Where I'm just reminded of one particular verse, that is Philippians chapter 2 and 21 verse, which says, "For all seek their own, not the things which are Jesus Christ." So, at least as a community, we have taken interest now. You have taken interest, and you have put us all into that platform. All are taking care of their own interest, and no one is bothered about the interest of Jesus Christ. So, as a Christian, each and every one of us have a great responsibility to take care of the society. For what Jesus came, we know. He came to the world to save, to redeem us, to get us into our heavenly abode once we leave this world. So Jesus came for that particular purpose, and we people, as per the verse goes, uh, all seek their own interest and not the things which are Jesus Christ. So now it is each and every one of our responsibility to take care of why Jesus came onto this earth. So in that scenario, I just want to express one more thing. God has selected each one of us. He has just put us into different positions, and He has given us such a lot of privilege that we are really placed in a very high position than many people. And in this position, if we still don't take care of the others, or we don't take care of the interests of Jesus, then we are really doing something very mean on this earth. Because the word of God says in Ephesians, to the praise of the glory of His grace, wherein He hath made us accepted in the beloved, He has redeemed us, in whom we have redemption through his blood. So going through all this, the biblical quotations, which speaks a lot of love of God, which is still not shared with the others. So this is really a very alarming state of situation. So now what we have to do, like there's a protocol of how to share this love of God. If we can follow that particular protocol, what happens is we can definitely reach people. So that is what I am doing at basically. Most of the times what happens is uh, fanatics, I can use the word fanatics. Sometimes people are so over enthusiastic, they try to push the religion into someone. So that is not what God wants us to do. He himself, Jesus Christ himself, maintained a protocol in this world when he came here. 30 years he didn't do anything. Okay, that's a period which we are not concerned about. So once he came into the society, once he stepped into the society, he wanted to do something where people will be benefited. So the first miracle also which he did was in a marriage. So we know John 2 chapter, it speaks about how Jesus turned the water into wine. Here, if we go through that scriptural portion, it's a place, it's a common place, it's a public place, but there he did a miracle wherein uh, the water was turned into wine, means he started helping the society. This is a subject behind it. We need to start helping the society before we try to tell what is Christianity. So the love itself is the love of God itself is Christianity, nothing more than that. So that we all know. So to start off with telling the others about Lord, to speak about our Lord, the first thing we need to do is step into the society, because this is the responsibility for building the community. We need to start with some good activities. That's why even the Word of God also says the true religion, it speaks in James 1:27. What is true religion means? The true religion is nothing but to help the society. How the visiting the 127 says that visiting the fatherless, visiting the widows, it clearly speaks about it. I would like to just read it out. James 1:27. It speaks, pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction and keep himself unspotted from the world. So that is the best way to move into the society, is to help the poor. There are so many around us. You can always do so many things once you are into the society. You can find people. So this is what I started finding. Like when I started, it was just a small helping of women here and there. But then so many things came into my mind. I could sense people from different areas, different arenas where they are being suppressed or oppressed or undergoing so much of affliction. So what happened is, first we need to follow a strategy in the society to reach people, to build them, to make them strong. Another major thing is we need to educate. See, once you start moving with a strategy of helping them, people get attracted towards you. This is a very fundamental formula, in fact. So once we start moving with them very friendly, trying to help them out, it's not just giving them something materialistic. You can always do that. That is always there. We can always give them some food, clothing, some little money. All that is always there. But to socialize with them, they need confidence on you. They should not have anything else in their mind that you're approaching them. So once they build that confidence in their mind, they'll automatically come to you for many other things. Like there is one particular community, they tell them Yanadi community. So they're like nomads, they move around. And they just, no, they are on the roadside near my office. When I pass through, I always have this one for them. I give them some food material, anything. But one fine day, I had a little time to just stand there and talk to them. And I told them, why don't you go and stay in a place, in a proper place? I just had an interaction. The first thing what they told me is they were taking what I'm giving, but they were more concerned to have an Aadhaar card. Immediately, the
Sister,
whole group, yeah. Any
could you please
disconnect?
wind up also? Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we
yeah,
have
finished.
9 speakers. Yeah,
Yes, yes,
thanks.
yes. So what happened is they started asking for Aadhaar card. In this situation, what I understood is they are not having the very basic thing also with them. So what we need to do is we need to try to help them. Of course, I couldn't get an Aadhaar card. They don't have an address. That's a different thing. What we best can do is we just try to help them out in different ways, because the love of God, the mind of Christ needs to be in us to build the community. So God moved with a strategy of helping people. Then he started speaking to them. So even we as community developers or community supporters, bearing the word of God in us, we also need to move in a very strategic way of trying to help the people around us, so that we will be able to guide them, teach them, and also how to support themselves, and also give them the confidence that just merely if they are an SC, they are going to be deprived of something. They can't declare themselves of as Christians. All these things also we can educate them. Only thing, they need to have a confidence on us. So let us all build the community in a different way by learning from one another. Maybe I could tell in one way, I could hear somebody else tell in another way. By this we can definitely, something is better, we can do something good. And I thank you for the opportunity given to me to share my view. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very
Uh,
much.
Thank you, sister. It was really our mission is the same, and we are with you, and we are very parallel lines, and I can understand that. And because of the time constraints, we are not able to pull that. Otherwise, Professor can Rajamohan Rao garu can second you, but we'll proceed on. And if you are traveling, you are free to proceed, ma'am, and join us. Okay.
Yeah,
And next
thank
we
you,
will
thank
go
you.
to yes, thank you and happy journey. Next, we will move to Pastor David Silam Shetty Garu, and then I ask him to introduce himself a little bit and take between 7 to 10 minutes. That would be ample time for you to cover the points.
Please unmute, sir.
I'm sorry, sorry, Pastor Garu. Just a moment. Dr. Rajakumari Garu, you are raising your hand. You have a question, ma'am? If you don't have a question, we can proceed on to Pastor David Garu.
Hello.
We can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead, Pastor Garu.
ఓకే అమ్మా, థ్యాంక్ యూ అమ్మా, నాకు ఇటువంటి మంచి ఆపర్చునిటీ ఇచ్చారు. అది నేను తెలుగులోనే చెప్తాను. ప్రతి ఒక్కరికి యేసయ్య నామంలో శుభాలు తెలియజేస్తున్నాను. యాక్చువల్గా ఇప్పుడు ఇండియాలో ఇది చాలా బర్నింగ్ పాయింట్. ఏంటంటే ఈ యొక్క కన్వర్షన్, మరి బైబిల్ గ్రంథం ఏం తెలియజేస్తుందంటే, గల్తీయులకు రాసిన పత్రికలో క్రీస్తునందు విశ్వాసం ఉంచిన ప్రతి వ్యక్తి యూదుడని లేదు, గ్రీసు దేశస్థుడని లేదు, క్రీస్తునందు అందరూ ఒక్కటై ఉన్నాము. అన్ఫార్చునేట్లీ మన భారతదేశంలో క్రిస్టియన్స్ ఎస్సీ కావచ్చు, ఓసీ కావచ్చు, బీసీ కావచ్చు, వాళ్ళు ఇంకా ఆ యొక్క కులము అనేది, అలాగే కొన్ని ప్రాంతాల్లో ఇది మా ఏరియా ఫీలింగ్. జనరల్గా హ్యూమన్ టెండెన్సీ ప్రకారంగా ఆ ఫీల్ లైట్ ఉండొచ్చు, కానీ ప్రభునందు మనము దాన్ని తప్పు కదా, నాకు ఇటువంటి క్యాస్ట్ ఫీలింగ్, ఏరియా ఫీలింగ్ ఉండకూడదు అని మనము వెంటనే దాన్ని తొలగించుకుని క్లారిటీ ఉండాలి. అయితే సమస్య ఏంటంటే రాజ్యాంగంలో ఎస్సీ నుంచి క్రిస్టియానిటీలోనికి కన్వర్ట్ అవుతే వారికి వాళ్ళని ఓసీగా అలాగ చేయాలని ప్రమోషన్ అసలు టోటల్గా ఈ క్యాస్ట్ ఫీలింగ్ అనేది మన ఇండియాలోనే వచ్చింది. ఓ రకంగా చెప్పాలంటే డాక్టర్ అంబేద్కర్ గారు ఎంతో కొంత హెల్ప్ చేయాలి. ఎందుకంటే అసలు నాకు పూర్తిగా తెలియదు కానీ ఈ మనుధర్మశాస్త్రం అని పూర్వకాలము ఈ ఆర్యుల దగ్గర నుంచి అక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చి మను అనే రాసినది ఒక క్యాస్ట్ల కింద ఏర్పరిచి అందులో ఎస్సీ క్యాస్ట్ నుంచి ఉన్న వాళ్ళు ఎంత హీనంగా చూసారో తెలిస్తే అసలు హ్యూమన్ అనే ప్రతి ఒక్కడికి ఇంత భయంకరమైన సంస్కృతి మనది, ఇంత ఇతరులు ఇంతగా బాధపడ్డారా అని అనిపిస్తుంది. అనిపించినాయి ఫాస్ట్ మనం దాన్ని ఏం చేయలేం కానీ అసలు మనకి దేవుడు ఒక వరంగా వచ్చాడు. యాక్చువల్గా ఈ యొక్క క్యాస్ట్ ఫీలింగ్ తోటి హీనంగా చూడడం వల్ల మిషనరీస్ వచ్చి ప్రభు ప్రేమ తెలియజేసినప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ యేసు ప్రభుని నమ్ముకోవడానికి ఒక రకంగా ఇది మార్గం సరళమైంది. దేవుడి గురించి తెలుసుకోవడానికి, దేవుడిలోకి ఎక్కువ బిలీవ్ చేయడానికి. సో ఇవన్నీ జరిగిన విషయాలే. ఎనీహౌ ఇప్పుడు ప్రజెంట్ సిచ్యుయేషన్ లో ఒక క్రిస్టియానిటీ ఎదుర్కొంటున్న సమస్య మీకు అందరికీ తెలిసింది. ఇండియాలో మనం హిందూగా ఉంటాం, రిజర్వేషన్, క్రిస్టియన్స్ గా ఉంటాము. సువార్త ముందుకు సాగకపోవడానికి కారణాలు ఇదొకటి. దీని గురించి లీగల్గా పోరాడుతున్నారు, ప్రార్థన చేస్తున్నాము. ప్రభు దయని బట్టి ఎస్సీ నుంచి ప్రభుని నమ్ముకున్నా కన్వర్ట్ అయినా ప్రాబ్లం లేదు. రిజర్వేషన్స్ కి వాళ్ళకి ఏమి తప్పిపోవు అని జడ్జిమెంట్ ఇవ్వాలని మనం కోరుకుందాం. అయితే యాక్చువల్గా ప్రతి వ్యక్తి మనం ప్రభుని నమ్ముకున్నప్పుడు మన ప్రాణం పెట్టడానికే సిద్ధపడుతుంది. మరణం వరకు నమ్మకంగా ఉంటామని ప్రభు దగ్గర మనం వాగ్దానం చేసుకుని ప్రేయర్ చేసుకుని పాస్టర్ అన్ని చెప్పిన తర్వాత చేసుకుంటాం. ఒక రకంగా చెప్పాలంటే క్రైస్తవ సంఘం అనేది స్టెఫన్ మొట్టమొదట తన రక్తాన్ని కాచాడు. యేసు ప్రభు వారు ఫస్ట్, తర్వాత మనుషుల్లో స్టెఫన్. అంటే ప్రభు కొరకు రక్తం చిందించడానికి, ప్రాణం పెట్టడానికి, సమస్తాన్ని విడిచిపెట్టుకోవడానికి కూడా సిద్ధపడి ప్రభువు నమ్ముకుంటున్నాము. అయితే మన భారతదేశంలో ఎస్సీ రిజర్వేషన్ ని వదిలిపెట్టడానికి ఇబ్బంది పడుతున్నారు. అసలు మెంటల్ గా మనము ప్రభువును యాక్సెప్ట్ చేసినప్పుడు, ప్రభువుని హృదయంలో విశ్వసించినప్పుడు మనము బాహాటంగా క్రిస్టియన్స్ అని చెప్పుకోవడానికి సిగ్గుపడకూడదు, ఇచ్చేయాలి. అయితే పరిస్థితులను బట్టి ప్రాక్టికల్ థింకింగ్ లోకి వచ్చేసరికి అది కొంచెం కష్టం అవుతుంది. దాన్ని ఏ విధంగా చేయాలి, ఈ విధంగా మనం కానీ దేవుడి కృపను బట్టి ప్రజెంట్ క్రిస్టియన్స్ లో మనం చూస్తున్నాం. మేము ధైర్యంగా మాకు బీసీ ఇస్తారు, ఓసీ ఇస్తారు, ఇష్టం ఇవ్వండి అన్నారు. నేను మహబూబ్నగర్ జిల్లా ఫార్మర్, ఇప్పుడైతే రంగారెడ్డి జిల్లా అయింది. షాద్నగర్ లో దేవుని సేవ చేస్తున్నాను. అయితే ఈ చుట్టుపక్కల ప్రాంతాలు, యాక్చువల్ నా నేటివ్ ప్లేస్ రాజమండ్రి దగ్గర ధవళేశ్వరం. ప్రభు దర్శనంలో నాకు షాద్నగర్ అని చూపిస్తే నేను ఇక్కడికి వచ్చి సేవ చేస్తున్నాను. చాలా మంది ఎస్టీ పీపుల్, ఎస్సీ పీపుల్ దేవుడు నమ్ముకున్నారు. అయితే మాకు ఇక్కడ విలేజ్ లో సిచ్యుయేషన్ ఏంటంటే, విలేజ్ లో పెద్ద మనుషులు అనబడిన వారు విఆర్ఓ ఎంఆర్ఓలకు చెప్పి వీళ్ళు ప్రభు చర్చికి వెళ్తున్నారు కాబట్టి వీళ్ళకి షెడ్యూల్ కేస్ట్ బెనిఫిట్స్ అన్ని క్యాన్సిల్ చేయండి అన్నారు. అంటే కనీసం 60% వాళ్ళు మేము చర్చికి వెళ్ళము, మాకు అవన్నీ పోతాయండి సార్ అని చెప్తే వాళ్ళు వెళ్ళిపోయారు. ఇంకెంత చెప్పినా వింటున్నారు. బట్ 40% వాళ్ళు ఏం చెప్తున్నారంటే మీ ఇష్టం, మీరు ఓసీ ఇచ్చినా పర్వాలేదు, బీసీ ఇచ్చినా పర్లేదు, అసలు ఏ సర్టిఫికేట్ పర్లేదు, ప్రభువుని మాత్రము మేము విడిచిపెట్టము అని స్టాండర్డ్ గా నిలుపుతారు. ప్రభువులో స్టాండర్డ్ గా ఉన్న వాళ్ళు భార్య భర్తలు కష్టపడుతున్నారు, పని చేసుకుంటున్నారు, వాళ్ళ పిల్లల్ని మంచిగా స్టడీస్ చేయించుకుంటున్నారు, ప్రభువులో చాలా ఆనందంగా ఉంటున్నారు, ఆదివారం ఆరాధనకు వచ్చి సంతోషంగా ఉంటున్నారు. వారికి మేము ఉన్నాం, సంఘం అంతా ఉన్నాం. కొంతమందికి అవసరమైతే సంఘం తరఫున పిల్లలకి హెల్ప్ చేస్తున్నారు. మరి ప్రభు వద్దు అని ఈ బెనిఫిట్స్ అయితే ఉన్నాయో అని చెప్పేసి విడిచిపెట్టిన వాళ్ళకి కొంతమంది డ్రింకర్స్ గా, బ్యాడ్ హ్యాబిట్స్ లో లోకానుసారంగా జీవిస్తూ, అటు పోనీ లోకానుసారంగా ఆ బెనిఫిట్స్ వాళ్ళు అసలు యాక్చువల్ గా అర్థం చేసుకోవట్లేదు. అలా ఎస్సీ బెనిఫిట్స్ ఏమున్నాయి మనకి? చదువుకుంటే మంచి కాలేజీలో సీట్లు రావడం వరకు, జాబ్ రావడం వరకు. కానీ అసలు చదువుకుంటే కదా, అసలు చదువుకోవాలి, ఉన్నతమైన విలువలు కలిగి ముందుకు సాగిపోవాలంటే అది ప్రభు దగ్గరికి వచ్చినప్పుడు ప్రభు మంచి సంస్కారము, ప్రేమ, నైతిక విలువలు, ఆత్మఫలం, ప్రేమ, మంచితనం, సమాధానం, దీర్ఘశాంతం, సాత్వికం. ఫస్ట్ ఆ ఆత్మ ఫలము అంటే మన మనసు మారి రూపాంతరం చెందడం. ఎప్పుడైతే మన జీవితాలు మారిపోతాయో అన్ని ప్రభు మనకు ముందుండి చేస్తారు. అయితే ఇక్కడ నేను చాలా ఆలోచించాను. అలాగని చెప్పేసి ప్రాక్టికల్ గా మీరు ఏదైనా పర్వాలేదు అని వాళ్ళు గట్టిగా చెప్తున్నాను. కాకపోతే ప్రాక్టికల్ థింగ్ ఆఫ్ ఫ్యామిలీ, జాబు, పిల్లల భవిష్యత్తు ఇవన్నీ విడిచిపెట్టే అంత విశ్వాసము ఫస్ట్ వాళ్ళు మనం చూడలేకపోతుంది. సో దీని పరిష్కారం ఏంటంటే గవర్నమెంట్ ఈ విధంగా ఎస్సీ నుంచి ప్రభువుని నమ్ముకోవడం అంటే అది మానసికమైన విషయానికి సంబంధించింది. వాళ్ళు చర్చికి వెళ్ళినంత మాత్రం వాళ్ళకి ఎక్స్ట్రా బెనిఫిట్స్ ఏమి రావు. చాలా మంది అనుకుంటున్నారు ఇప్పటికీ ఇండియాలో చర్చికి వెళ్తే ఫారినర్స్ వాళ్ళకి ఏం ఫండ్స్ ఇస్తారు, వాళ్ళ పిల్లలు చదివిస్తారు. నో అదేమి ఉండదు అని వీళ్ళకి తెలవాలి. సో ఒకటి గవర్నమెంట్ నుంచి అయ్యా చర్చికి వెళ్ళినంత వల్ల వాళ్ళకి ఏమి మేలు కలగదు. ఐ మీన్ ఫైనాన్షియల్ గా మనసు మారుతుంది. త్రాగుబోతులు, జోదరులు, వ్యభిచారులు, నాశనానికి పాత్రలు అవుతున్న వారిని ప్రభు మార్గంలోకి వచ్చినప్పుడు సన్మార్గంలో వారు నడుచుకుంటారు. క్రిస్టియానిటీ క్రిస్టియన్ ఈజ్ నాట్ ఏ రిలీజియన్, ఇట్స్ ఏ వే గుడ్ లివింగ్, ఒక మంచి మార్గం అది. సో దీన్ని అసలు ఎంకరేజ్ చేయాలి. కాబట్టి భారతదేశంలో అసలు మూలంలోకి మనం వెళ్తే అసలు దీని అంతటి కారణం సాతాను. ఒక వ్యక్తి ప్రభు దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు వాడు తట్టుకోలేడు. ఎన్ని రకాల హెరాస్మెంట్ చేయాలో, ఎలా చేయాలో చేస్తున్నాడు. ఇప్పుడు భారతదేశం ఎదుర్కొంటున్న పెద్ద సమస్య ఏంటంటే పొలిటీషియన్. ఇప్పుడు ప్రతి రాజకీయ నాయకుడు హిందూ అంటే మెజారిటీ ఆఫ్ ఓట్ల గురించి. సో ఎస్సీ ఈ క్రిస్టియానిటీకి సపోర్ట్ తక్కువైపోతుంది. కనుక ప్రార్థన చేద్దాం. దేవుడు కృప వలన క్రైస్తవులు నిర్భయంగా ప్రభులో ఉండాలి. విశ్వాసంలో వారు కొనసాగాలని ప్రార్థన చేయండి. తర్వాత గవర్నమెంట్లో పెద్ద పెద్ద వాళ్ళు, ప్రొఫెసర్లు అందరూ ఆలోచన చేసి న్యాయ పోరాటం ద్వారా ఎస్సీ కన్వర్ట్ అయిన వాళ్ళకి రైట్స్ ఉండాలి అని మనం అందరం పోరాటం చేద్దాం. సో ఇంతకు ముందు సిస్టర్ చెప్పారు, నార్త్ ఇండియా సైడ్ చాలా ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఉంది, అలాగే తెలంగాణలో కూడా ఉంది. సో ప్రేయర్ చేద్దాం, మనం అందరం కలిపి చిన్ని గ్రూప్ ద్వారా ప్రభుల ముందు సాగిపోదాము. దేవుడు నాకు ఇచ్చిన అవకాశాన్ని బట్టి మీకు అందరికీ థ్యాంక్స్ చెల్లిస్తూ నా మాటలు ముగిస్తాను. థ్యాంక్స్ అమ్మా.
Thank you, Pastor Garu. Nizanga, it's really tearful of whatever you said. Really, that state of, and we are all together in this, and we shall pray. And as clergy member, thanks for leading the society like this, and we really appreciate your vision. Now we will hand over the floor to Brother Oliver Rai Garu from Vizag. Appreciate if you could speak in English because we have non-Telugu speakers, and one speaking is fine, but let's continue in English. Yeah, thank you. Brother Oliver Rai Garu.
Thank you so much, sister, for this opportunity. Good morning or good evening to all of you from wherever you are. My name is Oliver. I'm from Vizag, Andhra Pradesh, India. I run a Christian advocacy group called Andhra Pradesh Christian Leaders Forum, wherein we try to raise issues regarding Christian community and express our views and opinions to the lawmakers. We are not there out on the streets fighting out, but we are there. We fight at the intellectual level. We take legal recourse where required, and engage with the lawmakers as and when it is necessary. So I will. My topic today is on community leadership, and I'm trying to present my small PPT. So I hope you will be able to see this. So community leadership, Christian perspective. I hope you are able to see my PPT. Is that okay? Can somebody give me a feedback, please?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you so much.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are
So
able to-
thank you. So who is a community leader? Let us go with the definition of that. Sorry for, yeah. So he is one who leads by example, inspires others, involves in a range of activities, organizing community events, and cares, more importantly, the third point, one who cares deeply about the community and is committed to making a positive difference. Sorry. So that is the key takeaway from this, where unless we are making a positive change in the lives of others, we cannot be called, or we cannot call ourselves as community leaders. So what are the examples of Christian community leaders? Pastors, priests, ministers, whoever lead congregations, lay leaders who serve in leadership roles, who head various organizations, who are running Christian rights groups. Then missionaries who spread the message of God, who take the gospel to various places, evangelists, youth leaders. All this can be considered as community leaders because they work in the community. They lead through their visionary thinking. They lead others through their thought process. So these are the people who are directly involved with the Christian community on a day-to-day basis. So these could be examples of Christian community leaders. There are quite a few biblical references of how community leadership in Christianity works. I don't want to go into details because most of you are very well versed. I'll just go with what Jesus said in Mark 10:45, where you are the ultimate servant leader. Okay, so unless you take up the servant leadership, you cannot establish yourself as a community leader. Then, of course, we have various examples, because I don't want to take too much time. I put a timer for 8 minutes, so I just want to finish, get to the main points of what I want to share. So overall, these biblical references demonstrate the importance of community leadership. I will send a PDF of this presentation to Sister so she can share it in the group. So what is the role of a Christian community leader in the society? What role do they play? What responsibilities should they carry is what I feel is more important. So if a Christian community leader should be involved in leading and guiding a group of believers, of course, in their spiritual journey, nurturing them, supporting them in their faith. So they were all, like, in terms of conducting Bible studies and advocating for social justice, human rights, and issues concerning their day-to-day living. If you look at how Christianity has evolved, especially in Andhra Pradesh, pre-independence and post-independence, the missionaries of those days were so much bothered about community development. They set up widow homes, they set up schools, they set up hospitals. So in addition to living their faith, in addition to showing the love of Christ. So all these are the roles that a Christian leader should play. So how do you serve the community? This can lead by example, by helping those in need. These can include volunteering at local charities, running small tuition centers like education tutorials, or participating in any community outreach programs. Like, for example, during the lockdown, a lot of us served on the highways, distributing food and etc. Advocating for social justice, speaking out against injustice and equality, creating a platform to raise awareness, about injustice being done, advocate for policies, interact with the government that promote equality and justice, build bridges, between communities and groups. There's a lot of, animosity between people where religious intolerance is so high these days. So we need to build bridges, promote moral values. Moral and ethical values are going for a toss. We all know that. Be a role model. Of course, spiritual guidance. Everything that we do has to be based on biblical principles. Community building, of course, advocacy, I just mentioned. So ultimately, the goal of community leadership in Christianity is to help individuals grow in their relationship with God and to build a strong and vibrant community of builders who can make a positive impact on the world around them. So what are the situations that we can play a role in? Natural disasters or emergencies, social unrest or political turmoil, economic hardship, in building interfaith dialogue, building bridges, and especially during times of spiritual or moral crisis. These are situations where Christian leaders can play a major role and let the community know that we are with them. So Christian community leaders should be available, ready to serve whenever it's necessary, and should provide guidance and support. They should be proactive in identifying areas where they can make a difference and be willing to set up and take action when needed. So these are so these are the prima facie, the need of the hour, or the key areas and roles that Christian leaders can play in supporting the community and helping the Christian community grow, and being available where required. So I'm open to take questions. I have 2 minutes from what was given to me. I finished 8 minutes. So if you have any questions, you can please ask me, or I'm good to go. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'll share this PDF to Sister, who will share it in the group. Thank you so much.
Excellent, brother. I don't have any question, but only appreciation for what all you did during coronavirus and all that pandemic. These NGOs did, Christian NGOs did I'm talking from Christian perspective, did a commendable job in Andhra and Telangana especially. And if anybody wants to applaud them, you can do so by unmuting yourself.
Absolutely. I think this was a wonderful opportunity for Christians to show the love of Christ and to come forward. And I truly appreciate all the NGOs, big, small, individual churches, individuals who came up onto the roads at that hour of need. And on behalf of everybody, I think we should really appreciate and thank all those who stepped up and showed what a Christian community can do unselfishly. Praise God for that opportunity.
Yeah, you're right. And I'll take one more point here. Since you are all NGOs and non-governmental organizations, and our cries for reservations or employment and education avenues, if you could step up your efforts in that line for employment creation and small business setups, if you could give some push-ups in those areas, especially for rural Christian youth, that would be also be more directional change in this NGO thing meaningfully.
True.
Yeah.
Then the need of the hour is for empowerment of individuals, empowerment of youth, empowerment of the Christian community. Empowerment comes only with economic independence. Economic independence comes only when we are well established or when we have a secure source of income, either through business or through job. So let us hope and pray that the Christian community will step up and work towards that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And now it is time for Brother Prem Kodali Garu to speak. And he is well renowned and very proficient NGO personnel in Vijayawada. And we are so happy, privileged to have him here in our midst.
Thank you very much, sister. I'm sorry I have a power cut. You may not be able to see me, but you will definitely see my PowerPoint that is coming up. Thank you for this opportunity, and it's a privilege to be here with you to share some things concerning the Christian identity, which is the topic given to us today. My topic, I title my topic as the identity crisis. This is a time in the history of the church where it is unprecedented, actually. The duality, the dichotomy, and the identity crisis within the Indian church has never been under the scanner as much as it is right now. And probably this duality, this dichotomy, and this identity crisis is the only weapon in the hands of the adversaries against the church. This is not a very popular subject. I know this is a taboo even in the Christian circles, but I would like to deal with it because we would like to actually take a stand on topics like this. The longer we take to actually address this issue, the longer this dichotomy will continue and the longer the church would not prosper. In Bhimavaram recently, there was an incident where a church was demolished. And there was a lot of agitation that was going around. And the very next day, the Hindu Vahini, which is a fundamental organization, actually came up. And then they brought out the identity of the pastor, supposed pastor who was running that congregation over there. And on the media platforms, in the social media platforms, on the YouTube, he actually put up the SC Hindu identity of the pastor and questioned the legitimacy of the church. Now, this is happening everywhere. This is not unique. This is happening everywhere. In Redigudem recently, probably a couple of years ago, there was an incident of an attack on a church. And the circle inspector later found out when these people came and they wanted to register a complaint against the people the perpetrators of the attack, they called it, the church people called it an attack on Christians. But the circle inspector found out that none of the people, including the pastor, were Christians. They were all SCs and STs. So he went on to say that I cannot register a case against you because this is not an atrocity against the Christians. And if you want, you can take the recourse of filing an atrocities case as scheduled castes. What I'm trying to say is this dichotomy is being exposed more and more, and people are being educated. I mean, while the people are really, being pushed into a corner where they have to really identify as to who they are. Now, this is a presentation which which I would like to share. Are you able to see this, please?
Yes.
Yes, brother. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So this is the Christian conundrum, the identity crisis. Yes, the fight must go on. It has been 72 years and 3 generations since the unjust presidential order of 1950. There has been relentless struggle from a huge number of organizations to secure the scheduled caste rights for the Dalit Christians in the church. And we should not forget that there has been a relentless opposition to it as well. Now, we tend to forget that a lot of SC Hindu organizations have been relentlessly opposing the sanction of SC rights for the Christians. This has been happening from the very beginning. And they have been lobbying in the highest positions, and they have been, vigilant about not allocating the SC rights. Now, there is a political will issue. It was there. It was a situation earlier when the favorable governments were there. There was everything possible at that time, but it did not happen because of the same lobbyists. And now when the political will is totally against it, as we can see, the regime change which has happened and the ideology that is prevalent at the moment, we can only imagine what would be the political will for granting of the SC rights for the Christians, for the Dalit Christians. Now, recently there has been a new commissioner, a new commission that has been, brought into force, and this KG Balakrishnan commission is now looking into the same aspect once again, which is totally unnecessary, because the SC, Dalit Christians have every right, and the Ranganathan Mishra Commission has already said that these people do deserve reservations. This KG Balakrishnan, Justice KG Balakrishnan, in 2007 asked, would the Christians admit that they practice caste system and that the Dalits among them face social discrimination requiring reservations to uplift their cause? Now, do we have answers to questions like this? He is saying, do Christians admit that they also practice caste system? So he says that the reservations are only given for those who practice the caste system and who have been oppressed by the caste system within the religion. See, these are pertinent questions that we must be prepared to answer as we fight on for this just cause. Yes, there is injustice, and yes, we must all fight for it. But it only requires a great miracle of the highest order. In all this, we tend to forget about the Christian minorities, or the real Christians, as we call them. Spare a thought for the Christian minorities. The Christian minorities are losers on every front. They perennially carry the palanquins of the SC Hindu, OC, and BC Hindu communities within the church. They have always been a stepping stone for others, but they themselves have never got the recognition. They themselves have never had the opportunity to be in leadership positions. Why? Because 20% of the overall population of the church is Christian, and yet a Christian minority position because of the lack of Christian minority numbers can never ever dream of a position in policy making or nation building. The all-encompassing issue here is the identity crisis within the church, the Christian identity crisis within the church. Now in India, the national population has been perpetually 2.3 since the last 40, 50 years, which means that it is not growing proportionally to the natural growth of the population. And in Andhra and Telangana, the situation is even worse because we are now a 1.3 Christian population, Christian minority population, and we are dwindling. Now we see the fall here. Now this is not, these are not figures that have been cooked up. These are the national census figures. You can see that the scheduled castes and the Christians' percentages in Guntur are alarming. In 1971, the Christians were 14.61%. And then by 2011, they have come down to 1.84%. Now, what is happening here? What is happening here is clearly evident that the Christians are embracing Hinduism, or to become, come back to their original religion. And this is voluntary Gharvapsi. Nobody is forcing them, but because of the lure of the reservation, because of the lure of benefits, many people, even though they appear in church on Sundays, they're reverting back to SC Hindu identity. We can see that in 1971, in the Telugu states of Andhra and Telangana, the Christians were 5.37%. And in 2011, it is 1.38%. And the census of 2023-24 is yet to happen, and most probably it would go below 1%. Below 1%. And then what is the situation and what are the chances of the Christians? What are the chances of the Christian minorities? And that is a question that we must all think about. Whatever happened to faith? Now we call ourselves Christian, but if we de-link ourselves with faith and talk only about the social injustice part of it, we are gravely misunderstanding the whole existence of being a Christian. Churches are full and Christians are nil. The churches have never been fuller than now, but the Christians have never been lesser than now in the history of the Indian church, especially if you take the case of Andhra and Telangana. Christian, yes, but not a Christian. So in Andhra, it is 1.3% in dwindling. All over the nation, you see the big states, Maharashtra, 0.96% in dwindling. Gujarat, 0.52% in dwindling. Uttar Pradesh, 0.18% in dwindling. And Bihar, 0.12% in dwindling. And you can understand how easy it is to attack these people in the name of their identity crisis. 90% of pastors in AP and Telangana are Hindu by identity. And how do you expect safety and security to the church when the pastor is not a Christian by identity? Almost all IAS, IPS officers and bureaucrats, almost all, I say, there could be exceptions. Almost all IAS, IPS officers and bureaucrats that attend church regularly are Hindu by identity. And in a moment of truth, do you expect these people to protect the church? What happens with no Christian identity? And what is the use of having Christian identity? So when Christian minority numbers dwindle or disintegrate, the church becomes vulnerable to attacks. The dual identity is exploited by the adversaries. As I said, this is the only potent weapon in the hands of the Christian adversaries that will be and is already being used against the church. The churches could be closed in a jiffy. Mobs will run amok. We live in a time when mobs are let loose against any adversary, be it Muslim or Christian. There will be no moral courage to fight. If you don't have a Christian identity, there is no moral courage to stand up as a Christian in the society in times of trouble. Political parties will not consider accommodating Christians because the numbers are so few. And if political parties cannot afford Christians or accommodate Christians, in their parties. There is no Christian participation in policy making or nation building. Where is the scope to represent or reflect our Christian thinking and our Christian love in the highest echelons? There is no chance of influencing the nation, and there is no chance of voicing Christian concerns. People who call themselves Christian and who are not actually Christian have no moral value or no moral right or no moral, courage or strength to speak up for Christians in policy-making positions. On the other hand, the Christians are really suffering. The true Christians are suffering. The persecution, as somebody said earlier, is not against everybody. It is against the Christians. The people who have legitimately declared themselves Christians. There are no reservations for them. There are a lot of poor people who have no reservations. There is no recognition. There is no opportunity. And there are no marriage alliances. I've been helping people with marriage alliances for Christians. And I've been telling people, you have to look for alliances out of the Telugu states. There are no alliances here because we are 1.38% and dwindling. The Christians have always been advocating the cause of their Hindu brethren in their fold, but they have been let down by the church itself. The church has never been able to support the Christians to push them into nation building or into policy making or into positions of value because of the compromise that the church has taken by supporting or advocating only for the rights of the SC Hindu brethren, because they are the weaker sections of the society. Definitely, they're amply qualified, highly educated, influential, resourceful, and yet let down by the lack of Christian numbers. We have to look into the future if we have to really think about what is going to happen to the church. Beware of the times ahead. The times ahead are only safe for a true Christian identity. Beware of the anti-conversion laws in the pipeline. They are coming, and the Christian identity is only the insurance that we can have. Beware of the watchdog fringe groups set up in every nook and corner. Every village is having a watchdog sleeper cell looking and really watching what the Christians are doing. Beware of the reinterpretation of existing laws. The existing laws until now have been interpreted one way, and we are clearly seeing that the laws are being interpreted almost in an opposite direction these days. Beware of the social-religious agenda of the regimes that are ruling us, and beware of the Hindutva ideology. Beware of the Hindutva ideology. The only protection that we have in all these scenarios is a true Christian identity. What if? This is a question we never even dare to ask ourselves. What if that justice at midnight never happens? What if that, SC rights to the Dalit Christians never comes about? Think about it. Would an 18% Dalit Christian population and added to it and a 12% Dalit Muslim population be allowed SC rights with a stroke of a pen? Would we think that could happen, especially in the current regime? It has been 72 years and 3 generations since 1950. 72 years and 3 generations since 1950. It is time to take heed to history. It never lies. No stone was left unturned, but it never happened. History never lies. How many more generations to live and die in the hope of what may never come? I'm not saying it will never come, but what if? How many more generations to live and die? Our safety and prosperity lies in our Christian identity at home, at church, at work, morally, socially, and legally. That is our recourse, that is our safety. Let us not say that God cannot provide what a piece of paper can. Let us not testify to the world that our God is unable or not in a position to provide what a piece of paper can. Of course, it is a personal choice. There is no pressure. It is all about the faith levels of an individual to choose what his identity could be. It is time to learn to untangle faith and social justice. This is where we have fallen flat. We have always tried to mix and match faith with social justice. And that is the issue that we have still today. And if we continue to mix and match both these things, we are bound to be disappointed and we are bound to be destroyed as well. And we have a beautiful name of our God. It is called Jehovah Jireh. God will provide. May God bless. Thank you.
Excellent, brother. Thank you so much. And I agree with all the points that you said. Guntur district being the most Christian district since colonial times. If you are showing the dwindling numbers of Christian population and the identity, I can imagine rest of the 5 coastal districts as well as in Telangana. And as you also concluded in your thing, yes, that is our stand, that is our identity. It is at the cost of livelihood, it is at the cost of status in the society and everything. But it is only God gives. We know that. So we have to be identified as Indian Christians publicly. So let us go back and form one of my PowerPoint presentation. I have only one slide. It's not much, but I was talking and I was saying the same thing. Let me share here. I wanted to share later, but you can see the last point. Challenges to Indian Christianity. And I said 4 points: social, economic, cultural. I will read rest of the 3 later, but when it comes to political, low numbers in census enumeration is one of the cause. And since we are having low numbers, they're not giving us representation. That's simple as it is. And we need to be counted. We need to identify ourselves first to make the bulk of the population. Then only at least they can consider. They also need some justification. I'm not taking that side of the coin, but I'm trying to say we are not identifying ourselves. As you said, the IAS, IPS, and some of the civil servants are all going by, even ex-cabinet ministers from Christian origin, from SC origin, were called as Hindus, whereas they go to church every single Sunday. So all these were the causes, and as you rightly said, as you rightly presented, I agree with your presentation, and yeah, thank you so much for that. The next,
Thank you.
yes, the next participant goes to Professor Rini Ralje from Mizoram. She has been a professor of theology in United Theological College, Bangalore, and yeah, let us hand over the floor to her now. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all from wherever we are. This morning, I would like to start from the 2 weeks incident on the Easter, in the event of Easter, when the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, visited the Catholic Church in New Delhi. So, as a result of his visit, Sacred Heart, he visited Sacred Heart. So, Mr. Michael, who was the president of the Federation of Catholic Association of Archdiocese in Delhi, make a press release demanding 3 areas. So I think that these 3 points are very important for us as a starting point. Number 1 is that the freedom of religion laws are harmful for the Christian community in India. The number 2 is protection of minority schools as enshrined in the Constitution. The third one is the issues of marginalized Dalit Christians. So in this freedom of religion, mentioning that the laws are harmful to the Christian community in India, where he also mentioned about the 11 states of India having anti-conversion laws. Those states are including, one of them is from the northeast, Arunachal Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Gujarat, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Uttarakhand, UP, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh. Of course, I left Karnataka since 2 years ago. This anti-conversion process has been made in a very, very strong way. So the second point was protection of minority schools as enshrined in the Constitution. You see, if you look at the national policy on NEP, National Education Policy, earlier it was named as New Education Policy, now it is National Education Policy. And how the textbook has been framed and how it has become a method and a tools to propagate what you want to do. So it comes in a very forceful way. And the third point he mentioned about was, again, what Mr. Prem has mentioned about the marginalized Dalit Christians and the population. Particularly, I think these statistics may be from North India statistics or national statistics. Yeah, since there is no time to look into that aspect very closely. Me being located in Northeast India, Mizoram, and having international boundary with Myanmar and Bangladesh, and also having three Indian states, Assam, Manipur, and Tripura. So we normally are called the chicken neck areas or seven sisters, and now with one brother, because Sikkim has got a statehood. We look at the Christian identity closely, even in Northeast India. It is so diverse because of that population, actually. For example, Mizoram Christian population is very high. We can say that 90 plus. Meghalaya, Nagaland, and Manipur, of course, could be more than 50% plus. And whereas Arunachal is very, very small, and then maybe, I don't know exactly, 1% or even less. Tripura will be almost the same. So in this growing scenario of refugees coming to India, of course, in Mizoram particularly, majority of them are from Myanmar. Now it is adding to from Bangladesh. Most of the refugees are identified with Mizo ethnic identity. So when they cross the border in 2021 in March, because the Myanmar military coup has taken over in February 2021. So 1 month later, the refugees have started coming to Mizoram, crossing the border. So there was a big letter from Central Union Home Minister saying that please send them back. So our Chief Minister, present Chief Minister, Mr. Zoramthanga, said that they are our brothers and sisters, so we cannot send them back. So somehow they are here in Mizoram, but certainly the conditions are not conducive at all. They are in a very difficult situation right now. So with all this political scenario in context, what is the Christian identity? What are the challenges we are facing right now? Is look at the Myanmar situation closely. Actually, the people who are coming as a refugee are all Christian communities. And even in Bangladesh, the same. The Christians are being targeted. So they are forced to leave. And as a secretary of the refugee committee, I managed to visit several refugee camps. Their situations are very pathetic. when it comes to shelter, when it comes to food, when it comes to health, and everything, children's education, and then employment. Because Mizoram is also barely surviving from COVID. Financially, we are struggling like anything to survive. So refugees are coming in between. So the faith aspect is very strong here, but without giving food, without giving water, how could we really live through the gospel mandate of sharing resources to one another? How can we engage actively in life-saving activities, life-giving activities, and life-affirming activities when our people are in crisis? So now they are in a very dilemma situation. So we are in a very vulnerable in one way because the central government is using national policy. They may call it Act East policy, Look East policy, but national security policy is very different in Northeast as compared to South or North. North from Pakistan and then South from Sri Lanka. But the Northeast policy is very different because the Indian government is believing that development is a problem to national security. So therefore, development has not been given to us. We have no good roads. We have no development at all. So if there is no development, there is no employment. Educated, unemployed population has become very high. The state is not having any job anymore. Most of the recruitment are on ad hoc basis, no permanent recruitment except for A grade like officers, Mizoram service sector. Otherwise, there is no proper appointment of jobs as well. So economic hardship is reality. So in that context, in that crisis, how do we hold on to our faith? How do we live on to our gospel mandate? How do we engage actively on life-giving, life-saving, and life-affirming activities as Christian? We, the Magdalene Missionary Society, we started that one newly by giving counseling to many distressed people. It has become very inspiring in many ways because our refugees are still holding to their own faith very strongly. So it was a great witness for me to meet with them. Yeah, I think that at this juncture, how can we extend our help also, help on livelihood, help on their economic survival? And not only that, there is no group in Mizoram to help them in terms of legal battle. For example, they are here, they would like to have exit to Myanmar, exit to Mizoram, India in particular. But we cannot do anything. There is no negotiating team. Of course, our team, refugee committee, we cannot do anything because central government is not signatory to refugees. So we are in a stagnant situation right now. They are neither getting provision, food, nor legal help. Yeah, our community help will be a great help. Yeah, thank you very much.
Professor Ralte, you have opened up our eyes to one of the corner that we often choose not to. So thank you for opening up our mind towards look into uh, the northeastern states Christian problem also. So hopefully we might do some research and try to reach out. Okay, so I will not comment much about the policies or signatories or policies of the government, but it's been very privileged to have you. And please share your thoughts with us in a PDF file or something like that. Thank you so much. And you will be asked questions if participants willing at the end of the, if you could stay until the end. We have two more speakers to go. Ma'am. Okay, our next participant is Dr. Para Ramesh Garu, and he's an academician and a very young and enthusiastic professional, and he would present as a congregant right now. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I take this opportunity. Am I audible, sister? Yeah.
Yes, you are.
So thank you for giving this wonderful opportunity to be part of this group. I have actually been working into this issue. So I have taken my paper for today's discussion is like as the earlier speaker Prem Kodali Garu has presented. Similarly, I have also made my presentation like autonomy, identity, and minority question. Role of congregants in the church. This is the topic which I have chosen. So I wanted to present you the scenario, the question of identity and autonomy and minority. These are the three questions now being pondering around in entire India. So to be more politicized and using them properly to win in the political situation. So these are the especially the autonomy. So what is our autonomy as a Christians? As rightly our Prem Kodali Garu has raised. Similarly, I am also raising. So there are two important issues that the BJP or the RSS now attacking on through policy level as well as the both policy level as well as the physical level at the rural areas, targeting the population and trying to pose a question: what is the autonomy of the Christians? So if you look at the entire scenario, Indian Christian, Anglo-Indians, these are the two identities which were actually given to the Christians that as a Christians in India. So these questions, when we look at the census, the census operations, how the census were actually operating since the early 1881 onwards, the census records, based on that census records, especially when there is a discussion which has come at the time of constitution making, as we all know, aware of it. So two important questions has actually came for the discussion during the making of the Indian constitution. While when it comes to the autonomy issue, so what identity should be given to the people who follow the Christianity? So these are the questions when it has come to the desk when the constitution was making. So I am giving two important discussions, taking the references from the Constituent Assembly debates. So there was a strong strong group which was opposed from the south, especially the Anglo-Indian group from coming from the South India, especially from the two important parts, one from Kerala and the other from the Shimoga region of the Karnataka, frontiers of Karnataka and the Maharashtra and the Gujarat region. So from these regions, there was strong resistance coming actually from. So that is why even today, if you look at the political distribution, there is an appointment, especially for the parliament, that still today there are 2 seats were reserved in the parliament as a Indian Christians as well as the Anglo-Indian group, which is given to the autonomy to the president. So for appointing these political representations as entering into the highest authority of the parliament from these identities. So these identities were actually given the nominations by the President of India. So here the question actually, when Ambedkar raised this issue, no, before the Constant Assembly discussions. Similarly, no, when we are giving the issue of the minority, according to Ambedkar, he has actually classified into 4 different minorities. One is social minority, the other is religious minority, and the linguistic minority and regional minority. So these are the 4 different minorities which was actually discussed during the Constant Assembly by the Ambedkar when it has come to the reservations and representations to the people into the larger benefit of the socio-economic issues that actually comes to the state. So these 4 different minorities, like religious minorities, regional minorities, linguistic minorities, and social minorities. So these would on these 3 different platforms, only one thing was sanctioned, where Ambedkar could able to argue with the other panel members in the Constant Assembly, and successful in passing these social minorities, largely, and got sanctioned to the reservations in the educational institutions and also political institutions. So 3 others were actually kept open for the discussion. So that time, religious minorities and also linguistic minorities and regional minorities was actually subject for the discussion. So simply the RSS and also the Congress people, like especially the Patelji, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, who was actually in charge for bringing all the princely states into the Indian Union, he categorically used the presidential order, forced to pass a presidential order in 1950 from the Tamil Nadu region, saying that that those who want to be an identity, like identity, especially those who convert from the Dalit background and Adivasi background to the Christianity, they should be given a scheduled caste identity. So therefore, these identity issues were actually used categorically and by passing an order. So here the tricky point which we are BJP is using through this presidential order, they were forcefully attacking by taking these orders. So there is a rich material available in the Constant Assembly debates, while categorizing, while giving the autonomy, identity, and minority. These were the 3 important issues were actually discussed during the constitution making. So we have not reviewed this literature in order to frame the questions that was posed by Prem Kodali Garu. So these are the important issues that we have to take it forward. So as a congregant, when we are actually taking the Christianity and following the faith of the Christianity, so these things which we have to take into consideration for the further discussion with the state. So these are the debates that were actually available in the flora, in the form of Constant Assembly debates, which was actually published by the Government of India. And there were 5 volumes available in the Parliament house, so we can access those. And so from these issues, they were actually trying to attack on the northeast provinces by using recently that NRC, CAA. These are the 2 issues. Enumeration of the people. So the number game has actually began by the BJP government. So eventually, because of these, slowly the church has actually taken back these steps, and while issuing these identities systematically, we have not registered our numbers in the census groups. It has become a kind of confusion. Whether we have to go for the scheduled caste identity, whether we have to go for the Christian identity. If at all we are going for the Indian Christian identity, we will be kept under the category of BCC. These are the confusion which was actually created by a presidential order. So we have to come out with these by clearly defining what is our identity, what is our autonomy, and what is the very definition of minority. So these are the three important questions that we have to take into consideration, and through these organizations and through these networks, we can actually raise these issues in the assembly discussions, as well as in the parliamentary discussions for more. So the other side, we have also have a representation which was given sanctioned by this state itself, Indian Christians. No, there were two political appointments gives by the president. So on what basis actually they are defining these political identity? No, when they are giving an identity to the Indian Christians to enter into the political platforms like parliaments, the president appoints two important persons, under the category of Indian Christians. So we have to take that, on what basis president is actually appointing two Indian Christians into the parliament. So that definition, by definition wise, we have to take into consideration and take it to the level of the community to create awareness and raise the issues back to the political discussions through the parliaments and assemblies. So then we will be able to redefine what is Christianity in the present context, how these political groups were using the Dalit Christian issue identity, as well as the Muslim Christian, Dalit Muslims identity, and creating a kind of confusion between the community and the church. So this is where we have to be more clarity, to get more clarity and work on. So then we could able to achieve these things. So these are the issues I want to share with you. Thank you for giving this wonderful opportunity to present my views. I'll stop here.
Okay. Excellent, brother, for summarizing the whole thing. And I know that you go very in depth into Ambedkar's, B.R. Ambedkar's writings and all those things.
Yeah.
And we will follow that up. Okay. We can compile all these things and we can release to the in the YouTube or some other platform. Right. Now it is time to move on to Dr. Sanjay Bhattacharya ji. From World Vision and academician and author. So we are so much privileged to have Dr. Bhattacharya, and the floor is given to him now.
Thank you, Doctor, for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts. I'll be speaking on the Christian response to the crisis situation. As we heard from the first speaker, Usha Kiran Madam, that she told that we should first help the community to overcome the situation before sharing the gospel. And my discussion will be more about the extension of what Brother Oliver has already said. So I'm not going to repeat it. And there are a lot of legal constraints also about our identity, as Brother Prem has already expressed. Now, the crisis situation, when we say first helping the community in terms of education, we can see the report that 44% of the students in grade 5 are able to read grade 2 books, as per our report. And a lot of child marriages are happening. In the UNICEF report, 1.5 million of children under 18 are getting married in India. Child mortality rate is very high as compared to the global scenario. Hunger index, we are 101 out of 116 countries. And unemployment rate has drastically increased, in fact. And the persecution of the Christians in India has sharply increased from when we see from the year 2016. And according to the report published by the Open Door in India, it was ranked as the 15th worst country for the Christians to stay. So that is a very much alarming for us as a Christian. And the predominant alarm for the churches in the Christian organization is there we should understand that there has been too much of self-determination with too little responsibility. All are determining their own ways. They are bringing different legislation, amendments in the legislation also, with very less responsibility for the community as a whole. And there has been too much of wealth accumulated in the hands of few people and very little left for the rest of the world in India. And there has been too much of power in the few hands, because now political parties and some of the fanatic groups are becoming so powerful and making others more vulnerable. There has been too many changes with too little ethics. Ethics have got no place now. And there have been too many voices through Facebook, LinkedIn. If you say something or fight for something, there will be so many people who are paid to comment and put you down. So these are the alarms for the churches and the Christian organization to understand first. And how the Christians are viewing this suffering, because when these things are happening, definitely God is knowing. It is with all God's knowledge. God, sometimes God also allows this thing to happen because we as the Christians have not also lived up to that values. So this is the time, few things that this is for refining our lives as a Christian, to teach us to be dependent on God. We were too much dependent on our property, our wealth, our positions, and all these things. And it is a way where we can glorify God to silence the devil. We will have the victory one day, because Advocate Prem has told Jehovah Jireh, we will silence the devil and to produce the fruit of holiness, to enlarge our ministry to others, and to rebuke our sin, and to make us lead like Jesus. These are the few views that, as a Christian, from the theological point of view, we can understand. There are so many Bible references which I am not going to quote here. Now, what should be the Christian action in that? The issues are poverty and illiteracy. As a Christian, we should have a vision and long-term planning, which the Christians have lost. Christians have not done. They have failed. They had all the properties, and many of the churches are sold and they are being converted as mandis, temples, and they are under litigation. They are not able to hold the properties and the resources which God has provided. That lack of stewardship. There should be a vision and long-term planning. Corruption, injustice are happening in churches also and in the country also. We have to improve our governance within the ministry, and as well as helping the government to advocate for the rights of the poor people and the Christian community. Child abuses, child marriages, child and women abuses are increasing day by day. No legal actions are being taken. Better to work as we as a NGO or a Christian professional, we should be able to improve the economic, bring about economic reforms for such people so they are empowered. Infrastructure and environment is the issue. Most of the Indian Christians are their Indian population, they're dependent on agriculture. So better focus on the agriculture productivity. Internal and external conflict is another issue. For that, the best solution would be to educate and the people for employment. Now, role of the churches and the Christian organization, I would like to say, first thing is strengthen the stewardship. Whatever thing that we have from the Britishers, many of the churches, many of the properties, schools, colleges, hospitals, have some stewardship to protect and preserve that, because that should not go away from it. And our Christians themselves are selling it to the others. That is very dangerous. Pray for the freedom of religious expression, that we should do it. Consistently pray for that. Speak for the social justice, as Advocate Prem has already spoken about the identity and the crisis that Christians are going through. Speak for the social justice, minister to the sick and the dying, so that they know about the saving grace of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Focus on godly virtues, because when we are not having that integrity and all these things in our life, we will not be able to protect our own resources, and God is also not going to support us in that. Because God is a holy God. And we should demonstrate integrity wherever we do, whether we are in the government job, whether we are into ministry, or whether into the church. And what is the way forward? The way forward of the separation means we have to proactively covering. We often have that reflex: you don't disturb me, I don't disturb. Many of the Christians are very diplomatic. They will want to play safe. They didn't want to, but later on the situation will come and worsen their situation. define your identity. We should identify ourselves as a Christians. If we identify we are deprived of the community as a being a scheduled caste converted to Christian, we should define our identity very boldly and understand the mind of God for this country. Pray and understand what God wants me. Because the Bible says, pray for your governance, pray for the prime minister, pray for the president. Read the Bible for the nation. Do what you can do. Take small step as a Christian. Take small step to bring a transformation in the area of influence we have. We may be a professor, we may be a development worker, we may be a advocate. Take small step to bring about a change in the life of the community and make others part of it. Learn from others. Learn from RSS what they are doing. Learn from BJP what they are doing, and apply those best strategic practices to build Christians and make Christians as a partner for the nation building. That is the way forward steps that I see. And to conclude my talk, I would like to, we have to present the situation, and the present situation may be viewed as is a situation which God has allowed in India, because this was not the situation some 10 years back. Now, this situation has been allowed, God has allowed, but God is in control. Christians' participation in the life of the society and therefore in building the nation is the moral responsibility of every Christian. Our Bible says that, and let this proclaim it boldly and work very closely, unitedly, and partner with the government, advocate for our rights. And for this purpose, may the Lord bless us and use us miraculously, mightily for building and bringing about changes in the life of the believers in this nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Bhattacharya. Before I make any comment, Ms. Rachel Moody has raised her hand. If she can ask her question. Ms. Rachel, you are raising hand. We are not sure. Okay. So thank you so much, Dr. Bhattacharya, for your secular perspective, secular Christian perspective, and we have to find a middle way to put things and take things forward. Okay. Now it is time for Pastor John Spurgeon Garu. And we are very privileged to have John Spurgeon Garu in our midst, and he will talk from the clergy perspective. And I'm sure he has many multicultural experiences he can share with. He has been seeing so many societies. Now he's joining from Hyderabad.
Thank you, Dr. Shanta Jettigaru. What a wonderful platform to talk and to discuss about the struggles the community of faith is facing. I'll be very brief and talk from the clergy point of view. From the clergy point of view, what I would like to say is, we can talk the talk, but if we don't walk the walk, there is no point. I say that again. We can talk the talk, but if we don't walk the walk, then there is no point. So from the clergy point of view, what I have been seeing, my observation is that the message is right, the methodology is wrong. I say that again. The message is right. The message of the gospel, the message of reaching the community, the message of helping is right, but the methodology is wrong. Why I say that the methodology is wrong is because some of the clergy people are not knowing the methodology. So my suggestion, to the group or to the participants or to Dr. Shanta Jetty is to see that, 2 or 3 things should be done to the clergy community. One is we need to be educated. We need to be educated how to reach these people. We need to be educated because we talk about a lot of persecution, but we don't talk about why we are being persecuted. We don't get to the root of the problem. We don't get to the root of the issue. We always make a big issue of persecution, but my observation is, the message is right, in the eagerness of propagating or in the eagerness of sharing the message, I think the methods what we are using are not right. So I would encourage that, coming through this group, we all need to come together to educate the clergy, to educate pastors, to educate missionaries. Not only educating them, but to empower them with the resources, with the right methodology, with the right teaching, with the right tools to reach people in such a way that the other faith community is not offended. So many times we see in the Bible, one of our dear brother was talking just a while ago, that never in the Gospels, never during the ministry of Jesus, he never criticized, he never went against, or he always presented hope. He always talked truth in a way that they could understand. He talked about parables. He talked about many things. So my suggestion to this group moving forward would be: one is educate. Number two, empower the clergy community so that and they can reach people in the right way. Not only empower, but you energize. How do we energize? Is bringing everyone together. Everyone together. Bringing all people groups together. I'm so blessed. So many people from so many denominations are here. It is such a blessing. My observation as a pastor, as a clergy, is we are not able to break the denomination barriers. We are struck with our own denominations. We have to come on one platform for a common goal, is to help people, is to be a voice. Somebody needs to come together. It's not about which denomination, it's not about who, but it is about we. It is not about I, it is about we. When we come together and stand for a cause, then we can see a change in the community. Then the government can respond, the church can respond. We clergy coming from different community denominations need to come together, need to unify. We need to have unity in diversity. So that way our voice can be heard. One of the reasons why our voice is not heard is because everybody is doing their own thing. I'm glad Dr. Shanta Jetty has put this together, built this group, bringing different denominations, different people groups, different people from different perspective to share their views. I think this is one of the best things that I have seen, in recent times. So, as a clergy, once again, I say that the message is powerful. The message is powerful. It has the power to change. Wherever I've been preaching in the crusades or teaching in the conferences, I've been saying Christianity is not a religion; it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. So when we present the lifestyle of change, I think they'll accept it, and we will not have a problem. So my humble request is, the message is right. Let us find the right methodology, empowering the clergy community, giving them resources and encouraging them and educating them. These are the things I would like to say from my point, and I would like to congratulate and so honored and blessed Dr. Shanta Jetty is doing this. May God bless each one of us, and may God continue to use her to be the voice in the community, not only in America, but also among the people groups in India. God bless you all.
Thank you, Pastor Garu. And could you please introduce yourself a little bit so that we all know?
Well, yes, I'm John Spurgeon. I lived in America for 23 years, worked as a prison ministry pastor in Tennessee, and I'm also the eldest son of Reverend Dr. P. Joshi Garu. People call him Joshina, who was on the radio, Vishwavani radio for 28 years. And now I'm relocated back to India to take up Dad's ministry. He went to be with the Lord in 2021. So I have taken his responsibility. It's a missionary organization. So we are reaching the unreached people's groups with the gospel, empowering them, encouraging them, and giving them the right resources and the right tools. So I'm based in India, but I travel back and forth to US and India as well. Thank you so much.
Right, Pastor Garu, thank you for your encouraging words. Sister Rachel Moody has a question. Ma'am, you're absolutely free to ask.
Thank you. I'm Rachel Moody. I'm working as a physician in USA, and I just want to say that there is an Indian Christian Day that's being celebrated on July 4th, 3rd, I think, wherein all the denominations are coming together to celebrate in Washington, D.C. And I think they're trying to celebrate in New Delhi, actually, as well, and Washington, D.C. And there they're going to kind of go through the history of Indian Christianity, the origin, but also at the same time, the main goal is to bring all the denominations under one roof and address our issues as well. And I would like to share that information. The second, we have an organization called FEACONA, Federation of Indian Christian um, in North America, in USA, and that organization is trying to advocate politically through the U.S. Center for Religious Freedom, and also through the senators who are members of the religious freedom committees, to bring attention and kind of trying to influence them, and so that they can advocate on to the political politicians in India. So these are the two things, and I think the unity of Christians all over the globe of Indian Christians is so crucial at this time. And they also should reach out in India, I think, to the other minority groups like Muslims and other Dalit Hindus, be the initiators to kind of unite and make a strong front to combat this government as the election especially as the elections are coming, because the government has been changing the rules unconstitutionally. So I think the unity is so important. I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for the information. And I am in touch with the organizations that you mentioned about, and we are willing to run parallel to them. But of course, we have some limitations because we are Indian Christians. We are always law abiding to Indian law, and we want to go according to what they give us and what they direct us. Because at the end of the day, that's our philosophy and doctrinal basis. Even though so we don't want to forget our roots as well. That is why I'm rooted deeply into my brethren and my folk, and all of you are very much part of this organization, and I'm so much privileged to do this. And I have anything not I have anything that you want to bring, like Stanley Stevenson brother, then people who did not speak, like Pradeep Kumar brother, Dr. Rajakumari, Pastor Moses Dayan Kodali from Vijayawada have joined. He will close the closing prayer. He will do. He is one of the wonderful persons around with great pastoral growth and future Christian leader in the making. And also Professor Rajmohan Rao Garu, and he has been a founding member of this organization, and I'm so happy that we have. And if anything, anybody who did not speak, if you want to say a small word, we would be very happy, sir, if you can unmute yourselves.
Good morning, sister. Good morning to all of you. I'm extremely happy, and I really appreciate Dr. Shanta Jetty, sister, for having taken this initiative to bring all of us into one fold to fight for the rights of our Christian community. So my points I would like to say, we have a certain, we should have some plan. Yes, Brother Spurgeon has told our methodology should be perfect, only then we can attack the problem very easily. And then here, on one side, in the previous meeting also, we have already discussed that how to fight in the Supreme Court. We have to fight in the Supreme Court about the reservations. If we project the extension of reservations to Dalit Christians, we cannot succeed. We have to say that denying the reservations to the Dalit Christians on the basis of religion It is against the spirit of the Constitution. It violates the basic structure of the Constitution. So we have to fight out against that point. We have to refer recent this 2 days back, the Supreme Court denied the reservations for Maratha community, saying that it is against the Constitution, the spirit of the Constitution. For the judgment given by 9 member bench of the Supreme Court. We also have to say that it when they struck down that one, our point is also valid, denying the reservation on the basis of the religion. So we have to fight over the religious freedom. This point we have to fight out, number one. Number two, political lobbying. I have shared already one article published in the Hindu, April 27th, page number 7. That is how the church is lobbying with Modi. One father, Joseph Pamplani, he deliberately he told that if the central government raises the base price of natural rubber to 300 per kg, we will support and we will get one BJP MP, we will send from BJP to the Lok Sabha, like that. So these people, they forgot about their responsibility, and they are talking about only for the economic times. So we have to lobbying them instead of criticizing them. We have to lobbying those people. Then we have to advise them, advocate them how they have to support the problems of the Dalit Christians and Christian community as a whole, where in many places, irrespective of their caste, all Christians are attacked and churches are demolished and people are put into a lot of trouble. This is one thing. And also, I shared one video with regard to a movement by fringe elements to deny the reservations for Christian scheduled tribes, Christian STs. Why I shared, there was some criticism by the group also, stating that this is a political one, it should not be shared like that. Some people, of course, they might not understand the spirit of it. So what I want to do is, we have to project this one and we have to lobby with the ST Christian leaders from Northeast and tell them tomorrow it may happen to you also. So you please support us like that. We have to get their support. So number one, we have to fight legally. And another side, we have to politically, we have to make some lobbying, because now the BJP, they're not sure of getting the 24 elections. That's why they want to get the support of Christians. This is the right time to try to get them and advise them to give some consideration and to be unbiased towards Christians. That's we have to do it. And at the same time, instead of doing charity to others, non-Christians, we have to concentrate more on Christian community and then giving some empowerment, education, and tell them that, giving some coachings and coaching, giving some hostels facilities, etc. Whatever that is that we can do, we have to strengthen the Christian community first. Only then we can go for extension of our support to non-Christians. That also should be another thing that what we have to make. So with this, we should have some regular touch with other members also. I request Sister Santa ji to share the addresses and phone numbers and emails of others to share in the group, so that those who are interested, we can have some collaboration and we can further discuss these matters also, especially the points made by Professor Podali and then Swadjan and Dr. Roy, and all these people are very important, so that we can have some collaboration and further discussion. We can strengthen our community. I hope that we can do something definitely within the next 6 months. That's what I hope. With this, my few words, I thank all of you for having listened to me. Thank you very much. Thank you. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor, sir. Brother Pradeep, you want to speak, sir? Could you be brief, and then because time is going up, Sister Dr. Rajkumari, you can also speak, madam. Brother Stevenson, you want to speak, sir? Okay, looks like not ready. And then we would ask Reverend Pastor Moses Dayan Kodali Garu to have, yeah, wait a minute. Let me share this also. As an organizer's opinion, I have four factors that sum up uh, for the challenges to Indian Christianity. The four factors that I'm trying to cite here are social, economic, cultural, and political. The challenges that we are seeing mostly here are a struggle for social identity. Many of the Christians are uplifted, yet carrying a Dalit card still. So, some relatives belong to the SCs, some relatives belong to Christians. So, the group cohesiveness is getting affected. The clan and the kinship, like interdining, intermarriage, and social dynamics, are ever changing. I think I'm talking about the other coin. I'm not talking the other things that at the governmental level, but I'm talking at family level. So I feel that social dynamics are changing, which we need to address. People's cooperation and association are challenged in kinship matters. That is the social struggle that Christians are facing today. Economic. When it comes to economic, they have to choose between sustainability or spirituality. So, as Brother Prem Kodaligar said, like the dwindling numbers of Christians is an alarming factor. They are choosing sustainability over spirituality. Yes, we have to lead lives, we have to lead meaningful lives, fruitful lives, and we need to get into jobs. So, for that, we are sacrificing the will of God that made us into Christians. So, it is our personal will, our social consciousness, our individual conviction that we need to choose between sustainability or spirituality. However, in the economically competent world, we look like we are sandwiched between material benefits and spiritual life. So, we need to examine that. When it comes to cultural, the values, okay, I think I'm not sharing my video. No problem. When it comes to cultural, the values, beliefs, and worldviews of Indian Christians may not fit the broader Indian society. It depends on self identification in what you're identifying and how you perceive the society. So we need to fit, like in a piece of the puzzle, we need to fit so seamlessly so we don't look out of out of the context with our values, beliefs, and worldviews. When it comes to political, I has already shared you, low numbers in census enumeration of identifying ourselves as Indian Christians is affecting us in underrepresentation and the seats reservation for the constitutional positions or for the lawmaking representation in lawmaking bodies or constitutional things and all such things. So, no identification with a major political party so far. So we are not able to form into a solid vote bank to negotiate our demands, our petitions, because we are small in number. So it is time for us to be all collective call, make a collective call to identify ourselves as Indian Christians, and that's what I feel from the forum of this dais. I hope it is making sense. So, with this being said, I thank all of you for being wonderful participants and so much enrichment you brought and so much lovely thing. Yeah, no problem, sir. We will catch you up in the next meeting. You want to speak now? Okay. So, with that being said, we will proceed on to Reverend Pastor Moses Dayan Kodali Garu to pray for this and conclude the session.
Let us bow down our heads in prayer. Let us pray. Almighty and everlasting God, God of justice, peace, and equality, As we are here this morning speaking about the Christian identity and crisis that is happening all over in all spheres of politics and in the sphere of sociological identity crisis that is happening because of the things happening around. Lord, help us to have this solidarity. Help us to join hands in our journey of faith. And give us your spirit of hope that we stand against all the social evils that is happening against the Christians in our country, in our place, in our community. Fill our hearts with this fire of justice and ensuring justice for all, so that we have this Christian identity. And all the think tanks, we thank you for all the knowledge that you have given us, the wisdom you have provided, all the leadership this morning. Help us and empower us so that we in turn empower the society. We stand strong and let this Christian identity be ensured, so that the justice to all the community is ensured. In your mighty name we ask this. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you for this
Thank
opportunity.
you. Okay, thank you, Pastor Garu. And Pradeep Garu, do you want to say a small word of encouragement to us? Next time you will be. Microphone is not working. Okay, no problem. And all our wishes are with you. So if you all can come on the video once, I'll take a small picture as a kind of memento for us. Yeah. I hope you all like the meeting.
Yes, we like it.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, from far ends of India. It is so nice to have you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day until we meet next month for another meeting where we talk about the ethnographic back roots of Christians so that we can understand the problem in the like in a like kind of stuff. Okay, I will let you know more and I hope you will all participate. Thank you and have a good day all. Okay, bye.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a
Bye,
nice
sir.
day.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Madam, please share the addresses of others also so that we can be in touch with them.
Yes, sir. I don't think so. They shared with us, but as much as can, they are all in the group. So,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Okay.